What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Before we start, tomorrow is Thanksgiving here in the States, so I think tomorrow we're going to do something a little different since I don't think there's going to be a lot of news or anything flying around that time. I think we'll pretty much go over some of the deals on Black Friday unless something really big happens. I think that's what we'll do. We'll have a special episode where we go over some of the deals on Black Friday, some things I'm looking at, and some things that may be interesting to you or other people. Basically, if you're going to go out Black Friday, hopefully I can make a little guide or some highlights to take a look around. But there is a really big news that has taken place, has to do with Belgium. You might know what I'm talking about since I mentioned it. And there was also a pretty interesting glitch that I saw for Mario Odyssey that people are now abusing to get pretty much infinite amounts of jump rope score. So let's get started. So you might remember I have talked about Belgium in the past, a few episodes ago, where I talked about their investigation into loot boxes. They were going to look into loot boxes and see if they equate to gambling. Now, loot boxes, of course, have chance written all over it. You don't know what you're getting out of it. And technically, you put money into it, especially if you exchange money for in-game currency that then goes into buying loot boxes to then get a chance to get something. I have seen people say, well, you get something out of it, so it's not gambling. However, I've seen other people counter that claim by saying if somebody set up a slot machine that takes $1 from you, but always at least gives you a penny, would you consider that gambling? It's hard to say. I don't think anyone would dispute that, being gambling, because it is. But loot boxes are under heavy scrutiny right now. EA really pushed, and we see what's happened at this point. People have pushed back. Gamers, media, everyone, even Disney had to tap them on the shoulder and tell them to cut it out. But we talked about Belgium investigating, and they've made a brief ruling, and that to them is that, well, this is gambling, and we're not going to have it here. So according to the Belgium Gaming Commission, they declared that the mixing of money and addiction is gambling, and their Belgium's Minister of Justice, Koen Geens, also weighed in, saying mixing gambling and gaming, especially at a young age, is dangerous for the mental health of the child. Now, according to their Minister of Justice, they not only want to ban loot boxes in Belgium, they also want to ban loot boxes in all of Europe. I'm not really sure what the process is to get that going or rolling. I'm sure they do. But in this case, they don't want to just have it so you can't have loot boxes there. Pretty much, I assume at this point, all of Europe, and then a precedence could be set, and then it could possibly spread to the rest of the world. This could be the first step to pretty much making loot boxes illegal and making them a form of gambling in games. They're looking to outright ban them. He's even gone as far as to say, I want to outright ban all in-game purchases. That might be a little much. I don't know if you're going to get that far, because generally if you exchange money for something and you're getting it back, there's really not much you can say there other than, well, that person decided to spend their money on something they knew they were getting. Otherwise, if you're in like a loot box situation, that is you basically spinning, pulling a slot machine lever. Whereas if you're buying an outfit for your character, well, you're exchanging $1 for an outfit. It's pretty straightforward. But yes, it looks like EA has pushed just a little too far. There is so much scrutiny around them, which is very interesting because even Call of Duty had, well, technically loot crates in them where they drop them out of the sky. A lot of games now have loot crates, right? We see it with Shadow of War. It's all over the place. But it was EA who just pushed a little too far, had to make it pretty much it was almost mandatory to buy in if you wanted to get any of this stuff in a timely fashion. They were talking about, $2,100 or, 4,500 hours to unlock everything. That's not going to happen by most people. Now, at this point, we wait, I guess, but it looks like you're not going to be doing much of loot boxing in Belgium. I'm not really sure how they get around that with some of these games. I don't know if they can rip them out completely, because Battlefront 2 was pretty much built completely around loot boxes being an integral part. So I don't know if they can modify it. I don't know what they can do. But at this point, if you're against loot boxes, which I think a lot of people in gaming are, especially if it directly impacts gameplay, well, we might be on the path now for them to just completely go away. What will that do for games? Well, I think the biggest industry a lot of people are forgetting here that's going to impact is mobile gaming. That's where it will really impact, since, 80% of mobile games use loot crates or loot boxes or a spin of the wheel in some way to make it so that the games are free. They would, I guess, at that point have to eliminate what they make most of their money on and just be either upfront in terms of what you get when you buy in, or just make the games cost actual money, $10, $15, something like what Mario Run did. Either way, I'm very interested to hear what your thoughts are on this, because this is a developing story. It's a very big deal right now, and people are chiming in all over the place. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments about Belgium pretty much outright banning loot boxes, loot crates even, and now going and trying to get that done all across Europe. Next up, let's talk about Dragon Ball FighterZ, which is the game that is coming up very rapidly now. It's almost like we're losing track of time, and we're just about into December, and Thanksgiving's right around the corner. The game's coming up, and they added some new characters. They have Gotenks, which is awesome because it looks Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks. The visuals always look great here. Kid Buu, and then Adult Gohan. So they are still kind of rounding out the roster size here, and it's looking good so far. I love the inclusion of Gotenks, especially Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks, because they did a great job on the character model, and it looks like he has all of his standard attacks, like the Super Ghost Kamikaze attack, and then of course Adult Gohan, and Kid Buu is also awesome to have in there. Let me know if you guys like these inclusions, or if there's still a character that they're missing that you really want added in. Either way, it's looking like this game is going to be awesome. Currently, of course, PC, PS4, Xbox One, and we do hear some rumors about a Switch version in the works based on what a lot of the Japanese developers are saying. I wouldn't be shocked if it's already underway right now. Next up, we found out that Need for Speed Payback, which is a game that, again, heavy scrutiny about it being a grind fest full of loot boxes, got the Battlefront 2 treatment. The EA pretty much backpedaled on this game as well. Now, if you saw a lot of review scores for it, they were very low, mostly because of how integral a part loot crates played in the game itself. It was essentially like Star Wars Battlefront 2, where a lot of people saw it like a pay-to-win game, and it kind of was. It took forever to get anything done, and yes, you were rolling for loot crates and stuff. Well, in this case, they at least changed some of it. Again, a backpedal of sorts. They've made it so that you earn for pretty much more credits, more rep. Basically, they've made it so that you get a lot more when you race and win or anything else like that. They've pretty much stepped up how much you get when you do this, which it kind of eliminates the grind to a degree. But again, EA is scrambling right now. It's very clear that they thought they could get past everyone with this Star Wars Battlefront 2 thing, thought they could get past everyone with this Need for Speed Payback, which, to be fair, Need for Speed Payback definitely fell under the radar because it was as bad as Battlefront 2. It just kind of fell under the radar. Terrible review scores. I don't think it sold particularly well, and they're paying for it now. EA just, they overstepped their boundaries here, and it's coming back to haunt them here. Next up, a very interesting release took place yesterday that a lot of people missed. Metal Gear Solid 3 HD released on the NVIDIA Shield TV. I know what you're thinking. Why? I don't know. From what I'm seeing by a lot of people saying, NVIDIA actually farms these out to developers that they hire to make games specifically for the Shield TV to give people a reason to buy them because, wow, exclusive games can actually help sell a system. Now, it's not exclusive, but the PC still doesn't have it for some reason. And here's the Shield TV that has Metal Gear Solid 3 and Metal Gear Solid 2, both HD versions. No idea why this is not on PC. This should be an easy thing to sell on Steam with the HD pack, right? Makes a lot of sense. But the other thing that's very interesting here now is, well, both those games have now been ported to a Tegra processor, to an ARM chipset, something that the Switch could actually use. That would be very interesting. Now, I don't know what the port process is from there to there, since the Switch uses lower level APIs to make up for its lower clock speeds, for example. But the fact that it's set up and ready to go for a Tegra that's in the Shield TV that is identical to the one in the Switch, again, different clock speeds, lower level APIs, and not the overhead of Android, this seems like they're probably, I mean, I don't want to say they're on the way to putting it on the Switch, but it seems like it'd be almost too easy to get that done. I don't know what licensing there is between Konami and Nintendo and everything, but I said it before in a tweet before this happened. I want Metal Gear Solid HD Collection, that's 2 and 3, even Peace Walker if they want to add that on too. I want it on the Switch, and I want it now. I want it as soon as possible. Even maybe incorporate things like HD Rumble and little things like that even, but put them on there, because I desperately want to play these Metal Gear Solid games on the Switch. The screen's much nicer on there than on the Vita, and of course it'll look better than it did on the Vita. Next up, let's talk about this Mario Odyssey glitch that has people pretty much maxing out the jump rope challenge. If you don't know, in Mario Odyssey you can go to a certain place in New York City and compete in a jump rope competition where it counts how many times you jump over the rope, you get on the leaderboards and everything. It's a lot of fun. People have a good time with it. Well, it didn't take too long until people figured out a few glitches that would let them max it out, essentially by doing nothing after you commit the glitch and it happens. So what you do is, this glitch in particular, I'll show you some of it here. It's called the Talkatoo glitch. What you do is you talk to the hint-giving bird and you throw your hat. And while the hat's coming back to you, you talk to them, and this locks the camera in place. And what's really interesting is it can actually interrupt animations. So what you do is, after you do this glitch and you take the camera off of the bird, you run to where the jump rope is, you do a ground pound, and then you look back at the bird, essentially move the camera, and it will freeze you in midair, in which case the people with jump ropes will just continue to, make the rope go around you, and your score just continues to climb. So people, yes, have maxed it out completely at all 9s, and that's why you may look at it now and the leaderboards are just people with all 9s, because, well, they use that glitch to just float in midair, walk away from your switch, and then come back, a few hours later to a maxed out jump rope count. And I guess you get all the moons anyway. So very interesting to see. It's a very odd glitch. I don't know what the deal is. Maybe they'll patch it. I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know if they really even want to patch it, because one of the fun things about Mario games, even like Mario 64 and stuff, finding glitches that let you do things like finish the game super fast, like we saw with Mario 64, where they would do that interesting like jump to fly up the steps and stuff. So I don't know if they'll fix it, but it might be worth it, because at this point, the jump rope challenge is just broken now. I mean, it was fun while it lasted, I guess. And in our last bit of news, let's talk a little bit about an uplifting story, right? All we ever talk about are publishers being like the evil corporation, right? They're out to get everyone and get everyone's money and stuff. We never talk really about the good that some publishers can do, and that might be because it's not publicized as much, or maybe they just don't do that much good. But whenever I see a story, I would like to at least start to bring it a little bit to the forefront here, and that's what we're going to do right now. So Axiom Verge came out physically yesterday on the Switch and the PS4. I believe it's out on both there. And what's interesting here is, in the actual special edition, which if you watch my unboxing, you saw and you know exactly what I'm talking about, you open the book up, there is an excerpt there that reads like this. Badland Games didn't want to publicize it since none of us wanted to be seen as trying to use my son's suffering as a marketing tool for the game. I hope this doesn't come off that way. I just wanted to thank them for the generosity and offering that up, since it was definitely something they didn't have to do. Now, if you don't know, that's Tom Happ. He's the developer of Axiom Verge, and his son has a medical condition that was pretty much developed after birth. And what happened here was Badland Games decided, they're the publisher, by the way, for the physical version. They decided to take 75% of their cut of the revenue and donate it to a fund to help Tom Happ's son. And they didn't even want to publicize it. This was actually done in the, like I said, the physical version. You have to flip all the way back to the back of the book. You see a picture of him there with his son. And it basically just reads all of this out, saying they didn't want to publicize it. They just wanted to do something out of the kindness of their hearts. They were going to donate 75% of the money that they make, and they were going to donate it to help his son out. So that's actually really cool. You don't see a lot of publishers doing this kind of stuff, or maybe they just don't publicize it. But Tom Happ wanted to make it known, something that these publishers did that was really cool. It was really good of them. And I bought Axiom Verge physically. I was going to get it anyway, but it made me a lot happier to buy it, to be honest, when I saw this, because it's good to see a company, a corporation or a publisher that's generally designed to make money, and that's it, to actually do something like this, to be nice. So very cool with Badlands. I'll continue to follow you to see any other games you publish, and I'll continue to support you if you keep up the good calls. And that's it for Newswave today, guys. If you're new here, consider subscribing. It helps us out. It helps build the subscriber count. Going towards that 100K, someday off in the distance. Also, make sure you hit the thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. It helps us in the search results, algorithms, all that good stuff. And also, let me know what you think about any of the stuff we talked about today. Belgium banning loot boxes. What does that mean to you, and is that a big deal? In your mind, is this the first step towards getting it banned everywhere, to where games will have to change rapidly just as much as they change towards having loot boxes? Or do you think most other parts of the world will just ignore them and they'll continue as business as usual, places in the United States and others in Japan, everywhere else as well? Or do you think they will decide maybe it is about time to take another look at these loot boxes? Also, let me know what you think about the Mario glitch. Do you think it's bad for the game, considering it kind of broke what was really a fun competition with the whole jump rope challenge? People were posting stuff on Twitter all over the place. Now it's just everyone just has all 9s because you can glitch it. Thanks, guys, for watching. Have a good Thanksgiving. Eat a lot of food. And if you're going out for Black Friday, please be careful, because, well, there are some crazy people out there, and they're not scared to fight for a deal. Thanks, guys. I'll see you next time.